row, the second is the column. So if it says grid 1 1, it means that particular paper needs to be on the first row and on the column 1. Then if it says grid 1 and grid 2, it means that this particular pattern needs to remain on the same row, but it needs to be on the second column, and so on and so forth. So with this information, we'll be able to easily um, assemble our patterns and move on to gluing them together. So I'm going to start with the first one, which is the first row. And the first row is there. You will notice that even in the second paper, let me show you the second paper, you can see it's still showing 1, but the column has changed, which is now column 2. And it keep going that way until that particular row is complete. Okay, so I'm going to work on this first row, and then we'll move to the second row, and we'll continue that way until we have all our rows properly assembled, and then we can join them all together. All right, okay, so let's do that now. And you can see I have about 4 columns on the first row, so I'm going to work on that first, and then we can now move on to the second row. Now another very vital information you also need to notice when assembling your pattern is the direction of the scissors. Usually the first the first pattern paper on a particular row does not have any scissors direction except the one beneath it, that is the one at the bottom. The second paper, which can be grid 1, 2, grid row 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5, usually have a scissors direction pointing upwards. So it's trying to tell you you need to cut through this scissors, this dotted line, so that you can attach the paper to the other. So I'm going to show you how to do it, and then you get more familiarized or more involved in your project, and you see that it's not as difficult as it looks. So you can see that I've trimmed the second paper, that means page 2, with grid 1, 2. Okay, because it has the scissors pointing upwards, so I'm going to attach it to the first page or the first piece of paper. And I'm going to use this using my paper glue. Remember, you can use a sellotape, you can use a masking tape, any adhesive that you have available to you. So you can see that everything tallies, and you can see it's looking good. I placed this directly next to the margin line on the pattern paper, in fact directly on top of the margin line, and you can see everything fits correctly and it's looking good. So I'm going to take my paper tape and then place it at the space between the margin line and the end of the paper. Okay, I'm going to place it, that's on the first page. So I'm going to spread it out, okay, like so. And I'm going to attach my second page directly on top the margin line of the first page. Okay, I'm going to make sure it's as smooth and easy as it should be, like so. And you can see how it looks. So I'm going to move to the next page, okay, and you can see at the bottom of the page also there's a scissors pointing directly upwards, telling me that I need to trim off through the margin line. So I'm going to do that now, and then I'll show you what next to do. So just like we did with the second page and the first page, I'm going to attach my glue to the margin space, okay, the margin line between the margin line and the end of the paper, and I'm going to spread it out like so. So I'm going to attach my paper to it just like I did before, and you can see how it looks. Okay, so now I'm going to move to the next page and just keep repeating what I did, you understand, until the rows are complete. Okay, so this is just the first row. When we're done with this, I'm going to move on to the second row, and then I'll show you how what happens when all the rows are complete. Okay, so now at this point, I have completed all rows from the pattern paper. So I'm going to be joining each of those rows together. I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up to the first row. So, but as I'm going along the way, in order to reduce the bumpiness of the pattern, since my table is not so wide for it, I'm going to be cutting out each pattern that I think is complete from the full pattern paper, so that in order to reduce the bumpiness. Okay, that's just the essence of it. So I'm going to show you, this is the first or the final roll of the pattern paper. So I'm going to attach it. You will notice that from looking at the top of the pattern paper, you see a scissors indicating an horizontal cut. So I'm going to cut through the horizontal line, the horizontal dot line, and then attach my paper gum to the space between uh, the margin of the top row and the end of the row and the end of the paper, so that I'll be able to fit my bottom row to it. So I'm going to do that now, and then I'll show you what next to do. Okay, so you can see how everything is coming together so smoothly, and you can see that my pattern pieces, each of the pieces is coming alive fully. But you also notice that pattern is not complete. That is, each piece that I want to achieve is not complete. So it means that I have to attach another piece to it. To do that, you just have to look at the top of my pattern piece. You will see the scissors indicating that I have to cut horizontally, just like I did earlier. So I'm going to take my scissors, and then I'm going to cut through the dotted line
horizontally across my pattern piece, and then go on to attach my paper gum to the new row that I want to attach, and then attach this piece to it. So that is what I'm going to do, and then I'll show you what else, or the next thing to do.
So you can see that I'm done attaching the other row to my pattern piece, and you can see that everything is coming out smoothly and nicely. And you can also see that a particular pattern piece is complete. That is the bodice of the pattern, and also the waistband is complete after joining this row to the other rows. So I can go on to cut out these pieces as I'm going, so that in order to reduce the bulkiness of my full pattern, my table is not so super wide to contain all the patterns. So as each pattern piece is complete, I will just be cutting it out from the full pattern. Okay. All right. So I'm going to cut out the basic bodies as well as the waistband from the main pattern piece, and then I'll go on to add other rows to complete the other pattern pieces that are not complete. So I'm going to do that now, and then I'll show you what next to do. Okay, so you can see that I'm done cutting out my pattern pieces from my row, or from the row that I've done so far. So, and this is the leftover from the row, and I want to attach more rows to this particular piece in order to get complete pattern pieces, get my pattern pieces for the other side, or for the other parts of my garments. Okay, so in order to get other parts of it complete, I'm going to be attaching another row to it, and I'm just going to do the same thing that I've been doing, which is trimming off the edges and adding glue to it and connecting the row to the other. So that's basically what I'm going to do. And then when I'm done, I'm going to cut out my pattern.